And over to the NFL, where Adam Schefter reports the Giants have agreed to a one-year, $21 million deal with quarterback Russell Wilson. This comes after New York already signed Jameis Winston. Wilson will be playing on his third team in 4 seasons after 10 years in Seattle. All right, let's bring in Adam and analyst Louis Riddick. Louis, starting with you, what's your take on the Giants adding both Wilson and Winston to their QB room?
Yeah, Jay, I think here you're seeing two different profiles in terms of the player that really carry with it two different sets of expectations. For Jameis, I think obviously he's going to be, locked in as the backup, the kind of guy who could come in and win you maybe 3 or 5 games, at least keep you very competitive in a pinch if necessary, because Jameis has done that. And he has shown that he is someone who can thrive in that role, who's going to stay ready, who's going to be a good locker room guy, who's going to be someone who supports who the starter is. For Russ, it's a little bit different. Obviously, Russ views himself differently at this point in his career. He views himself as someone who still is a capable bridge quarterback, meaning someone who can win you a good amount of games, keep you in contention, potentially even for playoffs, while at the same time knowing that the end of the road is almost near, has almost arrived for him as far as his career is concerned. And for the Giants, that's exactly what they're looking for, until they can find that long-term solution that John Mara, the owner, has said they need to find. So I guess it makes sense in that regard to have these two veterans, but it still isn't the answer that ultimately this organization is looking for and that this fan base so desperately wants.
Yeah, and Adam, Lewis just brought it up because Giants owner John Mara said very clearly, our number one priority is to find the quarterback of the future. So what do these moves mean in light of the G-men having the number 3 pick right now in the draft?
Well, a lot of people asking that question, Hannah, and the answer is almost nothing. They're going to proceed in this draft as if they didn't make either of those two moves, signing Jameis Winston nor Russell Wilson. If the Giants can find a way to move up in this draft, to take the top quarterback in this draft, Cam Ward, I think they'll look to do that. If they decide that they like Shedeur Sanders at number 3 and want to do that, I think that's what they'll wind up doing if they have a high enough grade on Shedeur, which we don't know right now. But the fact that they've gone out and signed 2 quarterbacks influences nothing about the way that this team will approach the draft. It has its ideas on the quarterbacks it likes in this draft. John Mara has wanted to find a long-term solution, and despite the moves that they made in recent days, adding 2 veteran quarterbacks, they have not secured or procured a long-term quarterback for this future to go up against Dak Prescott, Jaden Daniels, and Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, so the number 3 pick right now, they have the 2nd pick in the 2nd round and the 1st pick in the 3rd round, Jay.
All right, Hannah, meanwhile, with Wilson in New York, the Steelers are left waiting on Aaron Rodgers. They have an offer on the table to him. Steelers defensive tackle Cam Hayward had said he was sick of waiting on the 4-time MVP, but listen to this, he might be changing his tune.
I was asked the question of, would you go to the lengths of going to a darkness retreat to recruit Aaron Rodgers? I said, I'm not doing that. The pitch is, if you want to be a Steeler, be a Steeler. When I look at our team right now, it would be really cool to have a guy like Aaron Rodgers. But, I can't be the guy who gets it over the finish line. I think he's got to make those decisions for himself, but, excited to see what happens.
Yeah, and he certainly hasn't already, despite a 6-hour meeting. And Cam Hayward, the veteran in the locker room, speaks for a lot of folks there. So they have Mason Rudolph. They have Skylar Thompson on the roster. They have the 21st pick. They have no 2nd-round pick. Adam, what are you hearing about the Steelers' quarterback situation?
Yeah. Well, this isn't about whether or not the Pittsburgh Steelers want Aaron Rodgers. They do. This is not about money or negotiations. That's not what it's about. I think Aaron Rodgers here, we're just waiting to hear a decision. And whether or not he wants to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers or whether he doesn't want to play football. We have not heard anything from Aaron Rodgers addressing his future, addressing the idea of playing in Pittsburgh. But I can tell you there are people who in recent days have asked and wondered, does he want to play football? Is that something that he's pondering right now? And we don't know the answers. But the fact of the matter is, Pittsburgh's interest in Aaron Rodgers hasn't increased because Russell Wilson signed with the Jets. Their interest in Aaron Rodgers hasn't increased because Justin Fields, their other quarterback, also wound up in New York with the Jets. And so we've got a situation here where the Steelers have been waiting all along and they have not gotten an answer. And that begs the question, you want to play in Pittsburgh or do you not want to play football? Because those are the two options that currently are on the table.
Yeah, this is a situation, Adam, and we've talked about it numerous times together on air, that I believe just makes sense for both parties. I think Aaron needs Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh needs Aaron. That's very clear that Pittsburgh feels as though, as I'd like to say, as I have said in the past, Pittsburgh feels as though Aaron is a level up for them at the quarterback position, and I agree with that. I know there are people who will let their personal biases come into play when it comes to Aaron and evaluating what he did on the football field in the latter half of the season in 24, but I could see some of the same things that Mike Tomlin saw. I can see some of the same things that Arthur Smith saw, which is this is a guy who can help us as far as the passing game is concerned. This is a guy who can make some throws and make some decisions in timely situations that would really help us. That's why they are still sitting here waiting, trying to get this done, although it is wearing on the nerves of everybody. But I think long term, I think Pittsburgh is going to be in play for a quarterback. I just have that feeling that at 21, they're going to be in play for a quarterback. And if it's not at 21, it would probably be smart business for them to move back. And I think they could still get their guy. I still think that a guy like Tyler Shuck is going to be there. I know he is someone that they have brought in. And hey, you know what? I know people at this point are probably going to say, get out your Tyler Shuck pom-poms. We're just putting them away, for God's sake. Just put them away. But I'll tell you what, I'm not backing off until we get to Green Bay, Hannah, until I find out whether or not they're going to take it.
I'm riding with you all the way, Lewis. You are right every time about these quarterbacks. I'm on that train.
He is. Oh, by the way, the draft 4 weeks from tomorrow. Gentlemen.
Kings drafted J.J. McCarthy last year to be their franchise QB, but a knee injury cost him the season and opened the door, as you know, for Sam Darnold. Now with Darnold gone, it should be McCarthy's team, but he recently said he hasn't been told he's the starter. Today, Vikings GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah said he does hope it happens, and he was asked about Aaron Rodgers again.
Can you say definitively then the door is closed with Rodgers? It kind of sounds like ultimately it was his decision and we're still looking for a veteran quarterback. Can you say that door is...
I don't know that it was ultimately, I don't know that I said it was ultimately his decision. I don't want to make sure that, I think that I said that given where we are scenario-wise, we didn't think it was the right move at this time. It is also his decision to whether he signs with another team, not. That's ultimately up to another player. For me to sit here and say that, anything's 100% forever, that's just not the job, right?
Two-time Super Bowl champ Booger McFarland joins us. Boog, I listened to that whole press conference. Like 80% of the questions were about Aaron Rodgers. Putting that aside, I'm just wondering, what's your confidence level in J.J. McCarthy as the Vikings starting quarterback from the get-go next season?
Well, I think he's going to be pretty good. I think his temperament, his demeanor is there. You go back to him leading Michigan to a national championship. So he's got the moxie, he's got the pedigree. I think he's got the confidence. To me, the only